All right, guys. So this session is called Breaking Down Classroom Walls. Um, a lot of the beginning of the presentation, you can find a lot of information that can help you. The objective for the presentation is to find ways and create new contexts to find opportunities to be able to break those classroom walls, which means take the learning outside of the classroom. Either that being with a different teacher, different classroom, different school, or even online. Prior to beginning the presentation, people were asked to take a survey to find out what they knew about certain aspects of the learning that is required by our district. And that includes the SAMR model, um, PBL, uh, personalized learning, DOK levels, student-centered lessons, and the multiple intelligences. Oh, and the 21st century skills. Um, I'm not going to go through that here. All the resources that you need are on the presentation just above this screencasting.
All right, the paper roller coasters were part of a physics unit, and in that unit, the roller coasters were designed by the students and used to apply various physics concepts. The students recorded their roller coaster and how they applied those different physics concepts to the roller coasters, and then those videos were posted.
All right, and as Ms. Taylor was saying that with their project, students were able to record all the physics concepts um, and show their learning verbally on the videos. Um, I took it to a different level and had them post their projects on social media. In this case, I had them use hashtag UHMS RCP 2016. So they created a Twitter account with their RUSD Learns email, and they posted their project, and they posted their from the beginning to the end their progress. So if I were to Google the hashtag, you can see part of their learning, and that way they learn how to use social media to enhance learning in a different way instead of just doing something that's not useful and there's no learning involved. And in order for me to grade their project, they needed to create a web page. In this case, they used the Haiku page, and they created different tabs to show their learning. For example, they had a screencast as a group showing their whole roller coaster project. They showed pictures explaining reference point motion, kinetic energy, um, displacement, and verbally they would need to show and explain each of the concepts. For example,
62 meters per second. 0.62 meters per second.
So in this case, they had to calculate the speed of a track and then post it online. So that's how I graded them as far as the content knowledge.
Okay, the next assignment I had my students work on was an oil spill. They had to design a cleanup system and a containment system and then a cleanup system for a simulated oil spill we had in class. The second part of this unit, the students then had to record either a newscast or a PSA on the BP oil spill that occurred several years ago. They were introduced to the effects of the BP oil spill while watching a 60-minute clip on as they interviewed people that were affected by the oil spill. Then the students were allowed to test out some of their prototypes on cleaning up the oil spill. And then the second part of the unit, some students chose to do a Google Slides, some actually videotaped the newscast, others wrote a song and created a music video that went with their PSA. This project fit the SAMR model by redefinition, and I like using project-based learning units because it's very rigorous and the students are challenged and have to be creative in their learning problem-solving skills and other 21st century skills that are critical for students. And how did students learn and break down classroom walls? Well, that happened because they had to, the walls were broken down by creating these videos and the newscasts, the PSAs, and then posting them online to be viewed by other people.
Another project that the students did for my class was there were for 2 units, one on genetics and one on human impact on Earth. They had to research a topic that's related to human impact, and then a different one for the genetic disorder. And then their objective was to create a PSA to raise awareness and for people to take action in their community. On the presentation, I'm not going to play it right now, but if you go over the presentation, the first one is about human impact, and there's the rubric at the end of the presentation for how I graded them, and they posted their video on YouTube publicly, so other people can learn about it, so they can view it as well. And then the second one is about breast cancer on the genetics unit, and I used the same rubric for both of them with very little modification in regards to what the unit required. Part of why I did this is a way for them to engage others in learning, to make sure they are socially engaged contributors to their community, and have people contribute to their own strengths. Some people are better about speaking in front of the camera, while others are better about editing or creating the video or making special effects. So that way it's student-centered, they play to their own strength.
Another project that I had students do was origami. And with this project, students were challenged to come up with 3 different origami figures. They had to come up with an animal, a plant, and some type of 3-dimensional object. And then they had to think of a creative way to use that 3-dimensional object. The students they had to practice folding these. These were all self-taught, whether they used books or online videos. They were in charge of finding what shape they wanted to learn, and then teaching themselves. I was really impressed with some of the results that the students had, and they were extremely creative. And the origami unit, it allowed them to engage others in learning, because they were not only teaching themselves, but the videos that they created were going to be used to teach somebody else, because once they've found their 3 shapes, they had to pick one and then create an educational video on how to fold that object. And so that's how they were able to engage others. And then those videos were then later posted online so that other people could use those tutorial videos to teach themselves how to fold the different objects. They loved the project, and the challenges that were connected with it. And again, those 21st century skills of creative thinking and critical thinking, they had to collaborate with each other and even work together to videotape their presentations. All right, the last lesson we're going to share with you guys is Ship the Chip. And in this lesson, we had students come up with the packaging to be able to ship a single Pringles potato chip. This worked really well because at the time I was at Central and Ricardo was at Uni, and so we each had our respective classes sketch out, design, package up those chips, and they had to be the smallest and lightest package possible. So the students had to weigh it and measure it, and then we put them in, labeled them, and sent them through district mail to each other's classes. And here's a picture of my students as they were packaging up their chip, and they were measuring it, and they all recorded the information. And here are pictures of our class, some students that once they received them, they were really excited and looking forward to opening them up and seeing what kind of condition the potato chip was in, and were they successful in sending that potato chip through district mail and it not being broken or cracked.
I think the best part of the Ship the Chip challenge was the ability for students to create something of their own, be proud of it, and knowing that other students from different school, and they're somewhat competitor schools, if you will, knew that they were going to be graded on their ability to ship the chip without breaking or cracking the chip. It made them engineer something that's new that they come up on their own. They knew that they had certain specifications to follow in order to get a good score. That allowed them to collaborate with each other, discuss, and come up with an idea and put it to practice to see if it was doable. It hit the critical thinking skills level, the communication, creativity. So all the 21st century skills was definitely hit there. And most importantly, it was a problem that they need to solve, part of project, and it was challenge based. So that's a great activity to do, especially during testing time. So the way they don't have to think so much about reading, and they're in front of the computer all day taking tests. So that's a great activity for you to work with other teachers to have them assess those 21st skills that are required nowadays.